No one remembered how it truly started anymore. Only that humans and the alien race known as the Krell now fought across dozens of star systems. The Krell were powerful, fast, and cold. They fought with precision. They never spoke during battle, they never showed fear, and most terrifying of all, they were believed to feel no mercy. That belief had kept humanity alive. It made soldiers pull the trigger without hesitation. The last stand. Sergeant Evan Hale ran through burning metal and broken stone, his boots slipping on ash and blood. The air was thick with smoke. Alarms screamed from every direction. The mission had failed. The human strike team had been sent to destroy a Krell supply outpost on a distant moon. Intelligence said it was lightly defended. They were wrong. The sky had turned red when the Krell ships arrived. Their weapons cut through human armor like paper. One by one, Evan's squad had fallen. Now only he remained. His rifle clicked empty. His armor was cracked. Blood ran down his side, warm and sticky. Every breath hurt. Still he ran. Behind him, the deep mechanical sound of Krell hunters echoed through the halls. They moved fast, too fast. Evan turned into a damaged corridor and slammed his shoulder into a half-broken door. It gave way and he fell inside. The door sealed behind him with a heavy crash. Silence followed. Only his breathing remained. He pressed his back to the wall and slid down, clutching his wound. His vision blurred. He knew he had minutes at best. "Damn it," he whispered. Then he heard something strange. Not footsteps, not weapons. A sound small, high-pitched, weak. A sound like crying. The discovery Evan pushed himself up and limped forward. The room was large and circular, half-collapsed from earlier explosions. Broken metal hung from the ceiling. Soft blue light glowed from the walls, and in the center of the room he saw them. 3 small shapes trapped beneath fallen debris. They were Krell young. Their bodies were smaller, softer than the adult warriors he had fought. Their armor plates were not fully formed. Their limbs trembled as they tried to move. One of them made a weak clicking sound. Fear, real fear. Evan froze. Everything he had been taught screamed at him to raise his weapon. Krell young grew into killers. If they lived, they would one day fight humans. But as he watched them struggle, something twisted inside his chest. They weren't soldiers, they were children. A sudden explosion rocked the building. The ceiling cracked further. Dust filled the air. The structure was collapsing. Evan looked at the exit. He could still run, maybe he could escape. Then he looked back at the trapped young. They would not survive another blast. He cursed under his breath. Stupid, stupid human. And then he moved. The choice Evan threw his rifle aside and rushed forward. Pain exploded through his body as he lifted broken metal with his bare hands. His muscles screamed. Blood ran from his palms. One of the young cried louder as debris shifted. "It's okay," he muttered, even though they could not understand him. "I got you." Another explosion hit. The ceiling gave way. Without thinking, Evan threw himself over the young, shielding them with his body. The impact was brutal. Stones slammed into his back. Something cracked. He gasped, unable to breathe for a moment. Dust filled his lungs, but the young were alive. He could feel them moving beneath him. Evan coughed and rolled to the side. His vision faded in and out. He tore open his med kit with shaking hands. He used it on them first. He sealed bleeding cuts, stabilized broken limbs, gave them oxygen. Only after they were safe did he inject himself. The room grew quiet again. He lay back, staring at the ceiling. "I guess this is how it ends," he whispered. Then the ground began to shake again. Heavy footsteps approached. The mother arrives, the air changed. Evan felt it before he saw anything. A pressure filled the room, powerful, controlled. A shadow fell over him. He turned his head slowly. She stood there. The Krell mother, twice the height of a human. Her armor was darker than the others, marked with glowing symbols. Her eyes burned with sharp intelligence. Behind her, elite warriors aimed their weapons. One order from her and Evan would be erased. Her gaze moved from him to the young. She rushed forward. Evan's heart stopped, but she did not attack. She dropped to her knees beside the children, touching them gently. Her movements were careful, almost tender. She looked up at him. Their eyes met. Evan waited for death. Instead, she saw the blood on his hands, the medical tools, the way his body was positioned between her young and the falling debris. Her eyes widened. A low sound escaped her throat. Not anger, shock. Slowly she stood and raised one arm. The soldiers froze. She stepped toward Evan. He tried to move, failed. She studied him closely. Then she did something no human had ever seen a Krell do before. She bowed her head, not deeply, but enough. Then she made a strange sound, a long, echoing call that filled the chamber. The soldiers lowered their weapons. Evan's vision blurred as darkness pulled him under. The last thing he saw was the alien mother standing over him, not as an enemy, but as a guardian. When Evan opened his eyes, the world felt wrong. The air was too clean, too quiet. There was no smoke, no alarms, no pain screaming through his body. For a moment he thought he was dead. Then he tried to move. A sharp ache ran through his chest and he let out a low groan. "Still alive," he whispered. His eyes slowly adjusted to the light. He was lying on a smooth surface, warm and slightly soft. The ceiling above him glowed with a pale blue light, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. This was not a human medical bay. He turned his head and froze. The room was alien. Strange symbols glowed along curved walls. Thin lines of light moved like veins through the metal. Quiet machines hummed in the background, keeping a steady rhythm. He tried to sit up, but something held him in place. Not chains, energy bands, soft, invisible, but strong. His heart started to race. "Okay, okay," he muttered. "Don't panic." That was when he noticed he was not alone. The eyes watching him across the room, standing in shadow, were three figures. Krell. Two were warriors, tall and armored, weapons resting at their sides. Their posture was rigid, alert. Between them stood someone larger, the mother. Her presence filled the room. Even standing still, she felt powerful. Her dark armor reflected the blue light and her eyes watched him closely. Not with hate, with judgment. Evan swallowed. He had no weapon, no armor, no way out. If they wanted him dead, he would already be gone. The silence stretched. Then the mother stepped forward. The warriors did not stop her. She moved slowly, carefully, as if she knew sudden motion might scare him. Her gaze flicked to the bandages on his chest, clean, perfectly sealed. His wounds had been treated by them. She raised one clawed hand and made a sound, deep, controlled, not aggressive. A small device on the wall activated. A mechanical voice spoke in broken human language. "Human, you live because you chose." Evan blinked. You can speak?" he asked hoarsely. The mother tilted her head slightly. The translator clicked again. "Not speak, understand." She took another step closer. "You defended the young." Evan swallowed. "They were trapped. I couldn't leave them." The room went quiet. The mother stared at him for a long moment. Then she turned and made a short command sound. One of the warriors left the room. Evan's chest tightened. "What's happening?" the translator answered. "Your action broke expectation." He frowned. "What does that mean?" The mother raised her arm. An image appeared in the air, a projection. It showed Krell history, wars, burning worlds, dead cities. Then humans appeared in the images, fighting, killing, retreating. The voice continued. "Your kind fights for victory. Ours fights for survival. Mercy is rare." The image shifted. It showed Evan shielding the young, blood on his hands, debris falling. Then the mother's eyes widened. "You chose the young over your life." Evan looked away. "I didn't think. I just did it." The mother studied him. "Among my people," the translator said, "that choice has meaning." The law of the brood time passed differently in the alien chamber. Evan learned that he had been unconscious for 2 cycles, almost a full day. They gave him water. Food that tasted strange but kept him alive. He was never harmed, never threatened, but never free. Eventually the mother returned again. This time she was not alone. Behind her stood other Krell, leaders, elders, warriors marked with symbols of rank. Their eyes were cold. Judging, the mother spoke first. "You protected what was not yours." One of the elders stepped forward. "Humans are enemies, your kind burns our worlds." Evan met their gaze. "So do yours." A tense silence followed. The elder's claws twitched. "You saved our young," the mother interrupted. "That cannot be ignored." The room stirred. Whispers moved through the alien ranks. Evan realized something terrifying. They were arguing about him. The elder turned to the mother. "Mercy weakens us." The mother's voice dropped low. "Mercy defines us." She turned to Evan. "You performed an act known among us as Veilter." The translator hesitated, then spoke. "Protection of the helpless at cost of self." Evan's breath caught. The mother continued. "Any who perform this act are placed under the law of the brood." "And what does that mean?" Evan asked carefully. Her eyes locked onto his. "It means you belong to my protection." The room exploded in noise. The elders protested. Warriors shifted their stance. One of them shouted something harsh. The mother roared back. The walls seemed to vibrate. Silence followed. She turned back to Evan. "You cannot be harmed while under my claim." Evan stared. "You're saying I'm your prisoner." "No," she replied. "You are my responsibility." A human among enemies, days passed. Evan healed. He was allowed to walk under guard. He saw the inside of the Krell structure, vast, clean, and alive with movement. He saw the young again. They watched him from a distance. One of them, smaller than the others, approached him slowly. Evan froze, afraid to scare it. It tilted its head, studying him. Then it copied his movement. He raised his hand. It raised its claw. A soft clicking sound came from its throat, curious, not afraid. Something inside Evan cracked. He smiled. From that moment the atmosphere changed. Some of the warriors looked at him differently. Others looked at him with anger, but none attacked him until the alarms began. The coming storm, the base shook violently. Red light flooded the halls. A loud alert echoed through the structure. Human forces had arrived. A full assault fleet. Evan felt his stomach drop. "They came for me," he whispered. The mother turned toward him. "No," she said. "They came to destroy us." Explosions thundered in the distance. The ground trembled. The young cried out. The mother looked down at them, then back at Evan. Her eyes burned with something fierce, determined. She made a decision. "Come." She grabbed him, not roughly but firmly, and pulled him forward. "Where are we going?" he asked. Her answer chilled him. "To show them what you are." The human fleet hung in orbit above the Krell outpost like a storm ready to break. Red laser lines glinted across the blackness of space. Ships shifted, preparing to strike. Every human soldier, every weapon, every command echoed one truth: the enemy must die. But inside the Krell base, the tension was different. There was no fear in Evan's heart, only a strange clarity. He knew he was a pawn, perhaps a bargaining chip, perhaps a sacrifice. And yet he was not alone. The Krell mother walked beside him, her movements precise, controlled, yet somehow filled with authority that made even seasoned warriors pause. The young Krell trailed behind her, cautious but unafraid. Evan took a deep breath. He had no weapon, no plan, nothing but his human courage, and the fact that he had chosen mercy once before. The moment before the storm, the mother stopped at a vast observation window. Below, the human fleet bristled with energy cannons and missiles. Hundreds of ships, thousands of soldiers. Evan's stomach tightened. "They're going to destroy everything down there," he whispered. The mother turned to him. Her translator device emitted a calm voice. They blinked at him, unafraid. One mimicked his breathing. He swallowed hard. "Me, what can I do?" he asked quietly. "Stand," the mother said. "Speak. Let them see your choice." He swallowed again. His voice was hoarse, but he forced it out. "I am a human. I was trained to fight you, to kill, to win, but I chose to protect your children instead." The words felt strange on his tongue, dangerous, honest, and somehow right. The show of mercy. Evan stepped forward, fully visible to the observers outside the window. The mother made a soft hum, a Krell sound that resonated through the walls. The young Krell approached Evan's side, forming a small protective circle. Below, the human fleet's sensors focused on the outpost. Cameras zoomed in on the chamber. Then in every human bridge, screens displayed a sight they had not expected. A single human, surrounded by the young of their enemy, standing alive and unharmed. A silence fell across the fleet. Millions of eyes watched. Soldiers lowered weapons, unsure. Officers exchanged hurried words. "What is he doing?" one commander asked. "He's defending them," another whispered. Evan raised his hand slowly. He did not attack. He did not threaten. He simply stood, breathing steady. "This human is alive," the translator echoed. "Because he chose life over hate. He chose mercy." The power of choice. The Krell mother spoke again. Her voice reverberated in the chamber. "Your kind fights for survival. Mine fights for protection. Mercy is not weakness. Courage is not victory in a weapon. Courage is choice." And this one chose correctly. The human observers could not understand the language, but they understood the intent. The screens showed the human kneeling before no one, yet standing as a shield. Alive, defiant, brave. Whispers spread among the fleet. Orders to fire hesitated. Confusion spread like wildfire. One young officer shouted, "Stand down, wait, he's helping them." "Yes," another voice answered. "He's human and yet they're alive, all of them." The truth hit hard. Not all humans fought only for war. Not all humans chose destruction. Some chose life. The moment of ceasefire, Evan stepped closer to the window. He knew he had only one chance to make it real. He lifted his hand, a gesture universal to all beings: peace. The Krell mother did the same. She placed one clawed hand over her heart, then extended it slightly toward him. From orbit, the human fleet hesitated. Weapons powered down. The red glow dimmed. Even the most hardened soldiers felt it. This human soldier, this one human, had stopped a war by showing mercy. Then a sudden transmission came. A voice from the Krell mother translated for all humans. "This one saved the young. To harm him is to dishonor all. To respect him is to honor life itself. He is under my protection." Silence followed, and then the fleet began to withdraw. Bridging two worlds, the outpost was quiet now. The humans left. The Krell warriors lowered their weapons. The young Krell ran freely, chirping softly, touching Evan with gentle curiosity. Evan fell to his knees, exhausted. His wounds had mostly healed, but his body ached from exhaustion. The mother approached and knelt beside him. "You did not know our ways," she said, her voice quiet now. "Yet you acted as we would wish. You have changed something today." Evan shook his head. "I didn't do it for honor, I didn't do it for you, I just did the right thing." The mother regarded him carefully. "Perhaps that is why it is so rare." One of the young Krell stepped forward. It touched his hand lightly. Evan's heart warmed. "You are no longer just a human to them," the mother said. "You are a protector, a bridge." The choice to stay. Days later, the mother brought Evan to a high chamber overlooking a distant planet. Human ships passed silently through the sky, unaware of the changes made below. "You may return to your people," she said. "You may leave and your kind may call you hero or traitor, or," she paused, watching him carefully, "or you may stay, learn, teach, be the bridge between us." Evan looked at the young Krell. They looked back at him, expectant. The mother's gaze was steady. He thought of the war, the pain, the years of hatred between the two species. He thought of the moment he had chosen mercy, not because it was smart, but because it was right. Then he nodded. "I'll stay," he said. "I'll help. I'll make sure both sides understand." The mother's eyes softened slightly, a gesture humans might call respect. A new beginning. Over the following months, Evan worked with the Krell. He learned their ways. He taught them about humanity. He became a teacher, a mediator, a protector of life. The young Krell thrived. They learned to trust humans, and humans who visited learned to trust them. The first tentative meetings between species were not easy. There were mistakes, misunderstandings, fear. But one truth became undeniable. One human's courage had changed everything. Evan often stood among the young Krell, watching them play. They mimicked his gestures, copied his movements, and sometimes even waited for him to lead. And every time he saw them, he remembered the day he had thrown himself over them to protect life, knowing it could mean death. It had meant life instead. Ending humanity, reborn through mercy years later, the war was still a memory. A treaty existed between humans and Krell. They were not friends, not yet, but they were learning to see each other as more than enemies. Evan stood on a hill overlooking a field of young Krell and human children learning together. He felt the sun on his face, the gentle wind across his armor. The Krell mother approached. "Your choice," she said quietly, "has done what weapons never could. You have shown that courage and mercy are stronger than hate." Evan smiled. "I just did what I thought was right," she nodded. "That is why you will always be remembered, not as a soldier, not as a warrior, but as a protector." He looked at the children playing together, aliens and humans side by side, and for the first time in years he felt hope. Hope that one day, life would always be chosen over war. And that one human, simply by being human, had made a difference the universe would never forget. White heavy check marked the end.